Hello learners, welcome to this video lesson. Today we are going to discuss another topic of your course. Today's discussion topic is motivation and its educational implications. Before starting our discussion, let me to introduce myself. I Dr. Niradhar De, Associate Professor, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Welcome you all to this video lesson. Friends, as you know that presently we are in the 16th module of your course. The title of the module is Understanding Socio-Psychological Attributes. In this module, 6 different lessons are there. The lessons are just like intelligence and its educational implications, aptitude and its educational implications, creativity and its educational implications. These 3 lessons we have already discussed in our earlier sessions, and the 4th lesson from this module, that is motivation and its educational implications. Today we are going to discuss on it, and further in our next sessions we will be discussing another 2 lessons, that is attitude and its educational implications and personality and its educational implications. So, accordingly 6 different important aspects which is addressed in this module. Before starting our discussion, let me to focus upon some of the learning outcomes, and I am very much hopeful that after watching this video lesson and after going through the part content which is given in the 16th module, specially relating to the content point of motivation, you will be able to name different socio-psychological attributes of the children. Further, you will be able to explain the concept of motivation as a socio-psychological attribute. Further, you will be able to describe Maslow's theory of self-actualization as a theory of motivation, that is also called as theory of need. Further, you will be able to explain the concept of motivation as self-efficacy, and finally, you will be able to discuss educational implications of motivation as a socio-psychological attribute. I am sure that you will achieve these learning outcomes after going through this video lesson. Now friends, just to recapitulate what we have done in our earlier lessons, I am just highlighting some of the attributes that's called as the socio-psychological attributes. Okay? And these attributes are very much important and necessary so far as living our life is concerned, so far as acquiring life skills are concerned, and at the same time so far as adjusting ourselves in different environment. The environment may be at our home, the environment may be at the society and the community, the environment may be in the school, and at the same time the environment may be a play based environment, or when you are coming in contact with your peer or coming in contact with your group. Okay? And these socio-psychological attributes are just like intelligence of the child, aptitude of the child, creativity of the child, motivation of the child, then attitude and personality of the child. And these attributes are more or less related with the teaching learning process. Okay? So, when we engage ourselves in understanding certain things, in creating certain things, in practicing certain things, in reflecting certain things, so we use these attributes. We have already discussed in our earlier lessons, and I am just connecting it to the present lesson. And among these attributes, today we are going to address one of the attribute that's called as the motivation. Now let us focus upon what is the concept of motivation. Friends, motivation is a very common term that we use in our day-to-day practices, in our day-to-day life. Okay? And you might have acquainted with the concept of motivation or you can say the very meaning of motivation, because at our family you must have faced such situation that the family members, siblings, or you can say your parents, your grandparents, they many a time motivate you for developing certain good habits, motivate you to do certain good things. Okay? And even if in the school, you must have observed that your friends, your teachers, your mentors, they also many a time motivate you for doing a certain work, for doing a type of work. So that's why motivation is a part of our living, is a part of our life. Without motivation, we cannot do anything. So that's why we can say that it is a very common term, and we use it in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day practices. It may be in the family, it may be in the home, it may be in the school, it may be in the workplace, or it may be with the playmates. Further, we motivate our children, teachers, employees to work for achieving our target. So what the employers do? Employers motivate the employees. Why they motivate the employees? They motivate the employees for for the product of that work or the product of that company, or means how the employees will work wholeheartedly. And at the same time, teachers are also motivated by the manager. Teachers are also motivated by the principal, by the management of the educational institutions for providing better result, you can say. Further, children are also motivated by the teachers in the schooling system, in the teaching and learning process. Okay. So in this way, who are at the higher rank or higher in hierarchy, so far as our system is concerned, it may be teaching learning process, it may be beyond that. They always try to motivate the youngers, the lower hierarchy, so that they will contribute from their best. Further, it has a great force for people to do the work in time and with accuracy. Further, motivation is highly popular in the process of teaching and learning, because involving children in the process of teaching, involving children to learn certain things is definitely a part of motivation. If the children are motivated to do this, then they can do the miracle. They can really understand the concept, and accordingly they can also apply and practice that concept. And if the children, if the students, if the learners are not motivated properly for a particular lesson, for a particular subject, then hardly they will do any good result in that topic or in that subject. Okay. So that's why if we really intend for a better result, for a better involvement of the students, then definitely we have to motivate them. For the parents in family and teachers in school usually motivate children to develop good habits and practice good values also. So we do it in our family, we do it you can say in home, and we also do it in school. Further, let me to just give a few short definition, brief definition about motivation. As per Abraham Maslow, Maslow says that motivation is defined in terms of need. So motivation is a type of need. When there is a need, we get motivated to satisfy that need. Then accordingly, we do our drive. So our drive process is based upon the need that we are having, the aspirations that we are having. It may be psychological or sociological need. Many needs are physiological and many needs are sociological. We have also psychological needs also. So mostly you will find that the physiological needs are the you can say the primary or the basic needs, because it satisfy our hunger, it satisfy our, or it may be related to food, it may be related to shelter. Okay. So that's why physiological need is very much important. And if we are running with lack of physiological need, then it may be a type of motivation that how to satisfy those needs. At the same time, sociological need is also another important aspect. In sociological need, what we do, we are living in a society, we are coming in contact with the people, we believe in group living. So that's why in a society we just acquire that how to understand the society and accordingly how to behave in a society. Further, we can say that a satisfied need no longer motivates our behavior. Friends, let you have a need and that need is satisfied. Okay, you are feeling hungry and you got good food and you satisfied your feeling of hungry. Then it is further that hungry is not a need for you because already you have satisfied. So that's why it is rightly said that a satisfied need no longer motivates your behavior. Okay, so that's why the needs which are satisfied, they will remain as it is, and the needs those are not satisfied, you will try to achieve those things. Further, as per Cherry 2010, motivation as the process that initiates, guides and maintains goal-oriented behavior. Try to understand motivation as a process of initiates, guides and maintains goal-oriented behavior. So, motivation makes the person forward to achieve the goal, to maintain the goal. It also guides the person, and the person who is highly motivated can take a type of initiation. Further, as per Brenner 2006, motivation is the level of effort of an individual is willing to expend towards the achievement of a certain goal. Okay? So, it is also a level of effort of an individual to expend himself or herself, okay, to proceed in certain work for satisfying his or her need. Further, now let us focus upon, after understanding the very concept of motivation, now let us focus upon the theory of motivation. It is also called as the theory of need. So, this theory is given by Maslow. Okay, so this is Maslow's theory of self-actualization. This is called as the theory of need or the theory of self-actualization. Friends, so how to achieve this self-actualization? As per Maslow, Maslow has given type of or an hierarchy of needs. Just like the first need is the physiological need, second is the safety need, third is the belongingness need, fourth is the esteem need, and the fifth is the self-actualization need. And here you see the lower need, unless you satisfy the lower need, you cannot achieve the higher need, because all needs are somehow linked with each other. Friends, now let us try to understand what is the physiological need. Physiological needs are just like food, we require food for living our life, then cloth, we require cloth for living our life also, and we require shelter for living our life. So, where we will stay? Definitely we should have a shelter. Okay. So, that is why these are called the basic need, because for living our life we require all these things, food, cloth and shelter. And unless we satisfy the physiological need first, the basic need first, then the individual or the person cannot think about other need. Just like the second level of need is called as the safety needs. Okay? So, after fulfilling the physiological need, the basic need, then the person try to achieve the safety needs. Safety needs means it may be a type of security in job, it may be a type of security or safety in working condition, and you must have observed that the people, they are taking many insurance. Why they take the insurance? It may be health insurance, it may be other types of insurance also, property related insurance. Why? This is because of it is a type of safety needs. But this needs is the secondary need or the second level of the need, because for living our life the primary requirement is food, cloth and shelter, and further needs are to get security in our job place, security for maintaining our good health, and security for acquiring the property. And further, the third level of need, that's called as the belongingness need. It means where we are living in our family, we also live cordially with good relationship between you can say family members. So you must have observed that parents, they love their child. Okay, it is a natural instinct. So that's why love is a belongingness need, and the child loves his or her parents. Okay, so here this is also a quite natural tendency. So that's why such type of belongingness need is the third type of need, just like love, marry, children. For living our life, we marry, and we also from one generation to other generation, we also think that who will be our next generation, then accordingly we live our life. So that's why these type of needs are come under the belongingness needs. Further, that's called as the esteem need. Esteem need is, after achieving the physiological safety and belongingness needs, then the individual think about a type of his or her social recognition, identity, respect, honor. Okay, so that's why esteem need is also one type of need, and it also come under the theory of motivation, that's called as the self-actualization. And further, after safety need, the highest level need or the top level need is called as the need of self-actualization. Okay, self-actualization means searching inner truth, to understand the inner abilities. Okay, to understand that what the individual is really for. Okay, what you are really for, what you can do and what you are doing, and what you should do, what is your strength, what is your weaknesses. So when you will introspect yourself, you can get the answer of these questions. And for maintaining a balanced life, you are supposed to achieve these you can say the need of self-actualization. So friends, these are the 5 types of need which is come under the theory of self-actualization. For achieving the self-actualization, you are supposed to achieve the earlier need, that are the physiological, safety, belongingness and esteem need. And now it is very difficult to achieve the self-actualization need, but many a time if you do your effort, then you can also achieve the self-actualization need. Now let us focus upon what I have already briefed. Let us explain it with certain points, just like theory of motivation explains. Human need is in the hierarchical order, just like it starts from the physiological need towards achieving the self-actualization. So it is a hierarchical order starting from lower to higher. Further, in progressive series, our next need is revealed when the previous one is realized. I have already said that unless achieving the previous need, you cannot move for achieving the further need. So that's why all needs are interconnected, interlinked with each other. Further, in the hierarchy, the need starts from the physiological need, that is food, clothing, shelter, etc., and they go towards the highest order, that's called as need for self-actualization. So it starts from the food, shelter and clothing, that's come under the physiological need, and further it reached at the need for self-actualization, which is the highest need. It is always very difficult to reach the self-actualization, that's called as the highest order need, because it requires introspection, meditation and self-realization. Unless you realize yourself, it is not possible to achieve self-actualization. Further, when all other earlier needs are achieved, then after human beings can achieve self-actualization. So unless achieving the earlier needs, it is difficult to achieve the further needs. But many a time this has also been criticized by other psychologists that before satisfying the earlier need, many a time people try to satisfy other needs also. Okay. So, it is also quite possible, just like love and belongingness need. So, without many a time you must have observed that without a safety need, without you can say physiological need, you can say individual people also that develop love and belongingness to their children, to their parents. Further, we have already summarized the Maslow's theory of self-actualization. Further, now let me to focus upon what teachers do to meet these needs. So, what really teachers do for meeting these, for realizing these needs, for achieving these needs. Just like love and care is the core for accomplishing these needs, teachers should show love and care to the children, to the students. For the teacher and parents must counsel the children, understand these needs from different perspectives and learn to love and care to accomplish more needs. So, here it may be the teacher, it may be the parents. So, what they are supposed to do? They are supposed to make understand their children that they have to live with love and affection. They have to live with you can say a cordial relation. Okay. And further, we can also say that creativity will be essential to discover novelty, originality and fluency in work. So, that is why here also for achieving these needs, the other attributes, other mental attributes, other socio-psychological attributes are also equally required. And for the development of ability to understand the purpose of life and working towards it can actually lead to self-actualization. It is also searching for inner truth to become balanced and independent. Okay. So, it also includes the individual for realizing the inner truth to introspect himself or herself. Friends, now focus upon the concept of self-efficacy and how motivation works as a self-efficacy. Okay. Here the theory of self-efficacy is given by Bandura, the psychologist Bandura. Bandura's theory of self-efficacy explains children's belief about their capability to carry a specific task. Okay. This is the self-efficacy, whether the student is having that confidence, that belief or not. Okay. For doing certain work, work done will be done later, will happen later. But beforehand, if you have belief to do that, if you have courage to do that, if you have a proper understanding to do that, then definitely you will get type of motivation for pursuing that work. Further, self-efficacy is a blend of self-concept. That means, what do I think of myself? Further, and self-esteem, how good do I feel about myself? So, such type of question is given or is possible to get by self-efficacy, and which is a part of motivation. These are important sources of students' confidence that helps them in choosing the level of difficulty and complexity of a task. Okay? And further, I can say that an optimum level of self-efficacy is slightly above the true capacity. So, try to interlink these two things. First of all, the level of self-efficacy and you can say the true capacity of the person. So, whether both are related with each other or not. Friends, true capacity is possible when the individual or the person is having self-efficacy. And here this has been defined as by Bandura 1997, that self-efficacy, the level of self-efficacy is slightly above the true capacity of the individual. It is not below the true capacity. So, that is why self-efficacy helps for achieving abilities, for achieving capacities, for developing abilities and for developing capacities of the individual. Further, motivation as self-efficacy. To understand more about how this is linked with each other, we can say that a high level of self-efficacy describes the person's persistence at a task, improves his or her ability to cope with stressful situation and provides him or her motivation at failure. Try to understand here. A high level of self-efficacy describes the person's persistence at task. So friends, if your self-efficacy is high level, okay, so definitely you will be motivated to work, and you will also get success from your work. And if the person is having very less self-efficacy, that person cannot develop confidence to work in a situation. Okay? So ultimately the performance of the individual will be less. Further, in a life situation, self-efficacy contributes to meet the demands raised by the society, okay, at different ages such as career, marriage, rearing children, profession and defining vision and mission of life. Try to understand here. So here self-efficacy contributes to meet the demands raised by the society at different ages such as career. So here you see, try to understand, we all engaged for developing our career, for creating or for constructing our career, and at a time people get married also, and it may be in the family, the parents or the family members are engaged in rearing the children. Then further we can say, for a good performance and for defining certain vision and mission, what we do, first we understand the self-efficacy, and that self-efficacy helps us to do such things, and that is the part of motivation. And further, now let me to focus upon some of the educational environment for developing self-efficacy. Just like helping students to master the task, teachers should help the students to achieve mastery on the task, then encouraging students to work to watch others mastering tasks, then motivating learners to take up challenging tasks, and further breaking emotional resistance of learners in carrying out the task. So how to break it, the emotional resistance, okay, for developing self-efficacy, at the same time for pursuing the work, okay, for progressing in work. So that's why these educational environments are required for developing self-efficacy, and it can be done by the teachers. Further, now let me to focus upon some of the educational implications of motivation. First of all, I have already said at the beginning of this lesson that motivation plays a very important role so far as you can say the schooling life of the children are concerned, and at the same time grooming of the children at home, at society, at the community, also at the school. So how they will groom? Unless we motivate them, they cannot groom, they cannot grow, they cannot develop. After all, the effort of the teacher is for all-round development, is for complete development of the personality of the child. So that's why here educational implication of motivation also work, also contribute in such areas, in such ways, in such lines. Just like first of all addressing the need of the students, this is also one of the educational implications. So far as our schooling, our school process is concerned, that the difficulties and the problem of the students should be addressed by the school. Further, equipping teachers also. Teacher is the part of the society. Okay, so what you will do, what the teachers should do, the teachers should be well equipped. Okay, the management system should, you can say provide professional development program to the teachers, and time to time they should come contact with the innovations, with the new things that are being developed, and accordingly they should update themselves. So, equipping teacher is also another educational implication of motivation. And further, right content, the content that we will include in our curriculum, in our syllabi, it should be the perfect content, should be properly designed, and that content should be useful for the students for that level. For the teaching method, the methods that we follow in the class, that may be also one of the motivating factor. So, that is why when the teacher select a method, take decision about a method, so the teacher should use the proper teaching method. Then the teaching process, the pedagogy, teaching learning process, what methods, what techniques, what questions teacher is supposed to ask, how the teacher should engage the students in the classroom. Okay. So, all these things are come under teaching process. So, teaching process is also another important aspect, and further it is called as the environment. Okay. A right environment should be created for the development of motivation of the children. So, that is why it has its educational implications. And for the varieties of resource materials should be provided to the students, so that they will be motivated to study, motivated to do the work. Then intrinsic learning and extrinsic learning is also another educational implication so far as motivation is concerned. So, what is intrinsic learning and what is extrinsic learning? So, intrinsic learning means the things that you are getting from your inner heart. Okay. So, you are getting spontaneously from your thinking, from your ideas, from your mind, that what you are supposed to do. And extrinsic learning or the extrinsic motivation, many a time you must have observed, by observing the situation, observing the surrounding, by observing the person, you also get motivated. Okay. So, that is why now question is whether intrinsic motivation is forceful or extrinsic motivation is forceful. Friends, let me to say that intrinsic motivation is always forceful than the extrinsic motivation, because unless you are motivated by your own, you cannot motivated by others. So, friends, these are the certain educational implications of motivation. As a teacher, one should practice these educational implications, and the parents can also understand different aspects of motivation. Accordingly, they should provide facilities to the children for achieving motivation. Friends, now let us focus upon some of the practice questions. Just to recapitulate, today we discussed the very concept of motivation as one of the socio-psychological attributes, and we have also discussed about the very concept of it. We have discussed the Maslow's theory of self-actualization, that is also called as theory of need. Okay. This is a hierarchical theory. It starts from the physiological need of the subject, and it reaches at the need of self-actualization. Self-actualization is the highest need, and physiological need is the lowest need. Okay. And further, we have also discussed self-efficacy is the linking of self-efficacy with motivation. How self-efficacy is required for motivation, we have already discussed. And further, we have discussed the educational implications of motivation. Okay. So, how the teacher should motivate the child in the school to teach a particular subject, to dedicatedly practice a subject. And I am now very much hopeful that after going through and after observing this discussion, now you might be in a position to answer these questions, just like what are the different socio-psychological, socio-physiological attributes. For the define motivation as a socio-psychological attribute, describe the theory of Maslow's self-actualization, then discuss the concept of self-efficacy and its implications to motivation, and further discuss educational implications of motivation. I am hopeful that definitely you will be able to answer these questions and achieve the learning outcomes that we have earlier decided in this lesson. In our next lesson, we will discuss on any other topic. Thank you.